going to commit billions of dollars to third world beggar nations to keep from looking like jerks.
It started with a spark. Celebrate it with a bang. Weddings, anniversaries, birthdays, any celebration is better with fireworks from North Star Fireworks. North Star Fireworks, Vermont's premier fireworks supplier, has the largest inventory in Vermont, including rockets, aerials, firecrackers, and repeater cakes. North Star Fireworks celebrating good times with great fireworks for nearly 40 years, with locations in East Montpelier and St. Johnsbury. Online at NorthstarFireworks.com.
As temperatures start going down, you should go up to your attic and protect your comfort with Knopf insulation, available at Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber. Adding rolls, bats, or loose fill insulation can keep your house warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer and save you up to 20% on energy bills. Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber in Middlesex, St. Albans, Enosburg, Derby, and Swanton. Sticksandstuff.com.
Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, we've got the right stuff for you.
Hi, everyone. This is Jess Langlois
and Chief Meteorologist Dan Dowling
from the Channel 3 Max Advantage Weather Team, reminding you that every day we are tracking the weather and getting you the most accurate forecast
from the most experienced weather team tonight from 4 to 7 and at 11 p.m.
We forecast with straight talk and no hype,
so you can take advantage of the clear days
and have the advantage over stormy weather.
There's a 100% chance of accurate, experienced, and trusted forecast
tonight and every night from the Channel 3 Max Advantage Weather Team.
First in weather.
Hi, I'm Yvonne from VSECU, a credit union for everybody in Vermont. I think people will be surprised that VSECU offers loans for more than just new and used cars. We finance all types of recreational vehicles, including bikes. Bicycle commuting is popular in Vermont. Mountain, cargo, or electric bikes. We've developed a special financing program to meet the needs of enthusiasts and conscientious people who'd rather transport themselves with dual pedals. You can rely on VSECU when visiting a car dealership and when you're at a local bike shop. Get pre-approved or just come see us after your purchase and we'll finance your new mode of transportation. Finding ways to empower our members who are contributing to their health, local communities, and the well-being of our environment is just another reason why we exist. Make change simply by banking with VSECU. Let's empower possibilities together at VSECU.com.
Federally insured by the NCUA.
At Northfield Savings Bank, we celebrate the ways you work and why you work. To build a business, to make a brighter future, to do something that matters. You don't do just one thing in your business. Neither do we. Whatever your size, you have goals for yourself and those around you. Our commitment is helping you get there. Builders, makers, doers. Northfield Savings Bank. Find out more about us at nsbvt.com. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The teams you care about.
The Patriots are now closer to the bottom of the AFC than the top. That's a fact.
The stories that matter to you.
Trevor Story, man, he makes the Red Sox much, much better in 2022.
This is your home for New England sports.
I'm just wondering what happens next for you, VM, because I think there could be a lot of turnover on that roster.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Brady Farkas Show on a Tuesday here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Full show today. I missed you all yesterday. All 90 minutes today up until 7 o'clock. Then we've got Jazz with George Thomas. Eye on the World with John Batchelor at 9. We're going to recap the Red Sox game you heard here a little while ago on DEV. I had a surprise conversation today with Buster Olney of ESPN. You're going to hear part of. The full version is on our podcast channel at WDEVradio.com and Apple and Spotify. And then at 5:45, 15 minutes from now, Vermont native and current UConn women's basketball coach Morgan Valley, assistant to Gino Auriemma. She's going to join me, and that's again in about 15 minutes. You can get in, as always, on the Napa-Morrisville, Napa-Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026, your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. Facebook Live, YouTube Live, my Twitter account, WDEV Radio Brady. You can check us out everywhere and get your comments in and interact with us. Like I said, I missed you all yesterday. It didn't feel right to be in here on a Monday not doing this show. So let go.
5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts of the Brady Farkas Show were brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center. Locations at Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. Red Sox do win today. They came from behind. It wasn't always pretty. The bats were pretty lifeless through the first half of the game, but Sox do beat Detroit by a score of 5-3. They split the series now at a game apiece as we go into the finale tomorrow. The Red Sox are now 2-3 on the season. So I got takeaways on this game. I got overarching thoughts here on the first 5 games of the season. But the bottom line is this. Because you won today, even though you're 2-3 on the year, you feel pretty good right now, I think, overall, if you're the Red Sox. You have a chance tomorrow to win a series, on the road, to get the road trip to 3-3, and you send your ace to the mound in Nathan Eovaldi. That's all got to feel pretty good. If you told me before the season started, hey, through the first 6 games, all on the road, you're going to have an opportunity to go 3-3, then come back to Boston. You're going to have a chance to win a series, and you're going to get Nathan Eovaldi on the mound to do it. I would have signed up for that. Now, sure, I would have loved to have taken 2 of 3 from New York. But if you can take 2 of 3 from the Tigers, split here on the road through your first 6 games, and Eovaldi can shove tomorrow, and you can close out a series with your ace on the mound, I would feel pretty good about that. So I know the weekend in New York wasn't necessarily fun. I know last night wasn't fun, losing a game in which the bats went silent again. But today, you wake up from this listless state that you were in. You get 5 runs in the back half of the game. You win it 5-3. And now the wheels are starting to be in motion for Alex Cora and company. Rafael Devers remains a stud. That is the only word you can use to describe this guy. He had 3 more hits today. It feels like through the first 5 games, a lot of the offense has been generated by him or because of him. He has just been great. He did a little bit of everything again today. Again, 3 hits, multiple RBIs.
The pitch. And a line drive into right center field. It's going to get down for the base hit. Here comes Kike, rounding third. He scores, bobbled by Grossman. Devers with a big turn retreats to first, and it's 3-2 Tigers as Rafi Devers lines a bullet into right center for a single.
Yeah, and so here we go. Now that made it 3-2 Tigers. This was the Red Sox playing tack on late.
Here comes the 3-2. And a ground ball into left center field. A base hit. Here comes Kike to score the go-ahead run. And it's bobbled out there by Baду. And into second standing is Rafi with an RBI hit. It should be a single and an E8. And the Red Sox lead it for the first time 4-3. Red Sox take their first lead of the series.
Devers has been great. I told you I thought he was in for an MVP type of year. He is. He is just that good offensively. And then around the rest of the lineup, you started to see signs of life. Okay, Kike Hernandez had a couple of hits. He had an RBI today. He was 0 for 17 for the season coming into this game. It was good to see Kike get going at the top of the lineup.
Delivers from the set. And he swings and slices one down the right field line toward the corner. It's a fair ball hitting on the grass and rolling into the corner. Kike on his way to second as a run is scored. And Kike breaks the 0 for 19 with a double down the right field line. That has to be a huge weight lifted off his shoulders. Red Sox on the board as Plawecki scores easily, 3-1 Tigers.
Yeah, so it was 0 for 17 to start. We got to 0 for 19. Kike didn't look good to the first 2 at-bats of the game either, but he does come through there, came through a couple more times later. Kike Hernandez, good to see him off the schneid. Hit the ball the other way, too, he did. Had some authority there. You saw Christian Arroyo finally get a hit today. He had an RBI in the 9th inning. So, I mean, these guys had done nothing to this point. It had felt like just Devers, just Bogarts, and just J.D. Martinez. And now you're starting to see others come through. The Red Sox, if they're going to be as good as we think they can be, and certainly as good as we want them to be, they're going to need contributions from all over the lineup. They cannot simply be middle of the order dependent, okay? good teams, really good teams, have long lineups. They make you work. They make your pitching staff, they eat through your pitching staff. They eat up your pitch count, and they just wear you down. Through the first 4.5 games of the season, the Red Sox have been very, very middle of the order dependent. Today, Kike. Today, Arroyo. Verdugo's had some moments, but now you're starting to see the lineup lengthen out. It will only get better when Trevor Story comes back, too. Hopefully he can play tomorrow as he recovers from the stomach bug or food poisoning, which is what I think he thinks he has. But hopefully, in fact, Trevor Story is back in there tomorrow. They do still need to get other guys going, right? JBJ's done nothing. Bobby Dahlbeck, outside of the home run on Sunday night against the Yankees, he's done nothing. They do miss Trevor Story a lot. When he is back, he will continue to lengthen that lineup, but they do need the catcher position, Vasquez and Plawecki, JBJ. They need something out of them. Right now, you've got the middle of the order, Kike, Arroyo. You got some guys in there, Verdugo at times. You want to really lengthen it? Start getting everybody involved. Dahlbeck in particular is the guy that I want. At one point today, like when the Red Sox were scoreless through the first few innings, at one point today, JD Martinez hit into a double play. And the Red Sox at that point were 3 for 29 with runners in scoring position for the season. And I'm like, I was ready to just eviscerate them when we came on the air. But then the 6th inning happened. Kike, Devers. Now you get JD with the controversial double down the line that may or may not have been foul. But luckily that stat is no longer there. But at one point, they were 3 for 29 with runners in scoring position. And I will say, good for the Red Sox to stick with it offensively. This would have been an easy game, I think, for them to just pack it in, right? You're being shut out. Things are frustrating. You were beaten yesterday. You were down 3-0. It's a day game. There's not a big crowd there. This would have been an easy one to pack in. But again, you don't get down, you come back, you get off the mat, then you get to the bullpen. I mean, the kid Alexander had pitched really well for the Tigers through 5 innings. You get him out of the game, and now you go to the bullpen. Now guys are wild. Guys are walking people. Guys are throwing balls now. Now the confidence isn't there on the other side, and you're able to get through. And it kind of goes to what Alex Cora said after last night's game.
Don't get caught up on the results. Just get back to the process and, like we did with Cole and Severino, just fight at bats and keep going and get to the bullpens. And if we do that, we should be okay.
And that's what they did today. They got to the bullpen. They grinded out at bats. And all in all, a pretty good day for the Red Sox offensively, back half of the game especially. Another takeaway, look, you've got to win the games that Garrett Whitlock pitches. And the Red Sox did that today. You just simply don't want to waste days that Whitlock is available. You know that Whitlock is going to throw multiple innings. He's not in this for the short-term outing. He's going to throw somewhere between 2 and 4 innings every time out. So you're going to burn him for multiple days at a time. So you have to win when you play that card. And they did today. Give him credit. I don't necessarily love this Garrett Whitlock plan, but it worked today. It worked today to a T. He throws the final 4 innings in this one. He was great. He was efficient. He was economical. He barely threw, I think, 40 pitches in this game. And he just knows how to pitch. I love watching guys who know how to pitch. It's 5-3 in the bottom of the 9th. There's 1 out, nobody on. You cannot afford to walk a guy, because if you walk a guy, you bring yourself to a spot where, of course, the tying run is at the plate. So Miguel Cabrera is up and Whitlock goes 2-0 on him. He could have given in. He could have pitched scared to Cabrera. Instead, he went right at him and said, look, if you hit this ball to the moon, that is better than me walking you. He goes right after him, gets a strike on 2-0, and eventually comes back and K's Cabrera. That's a guy with 500 career homers. That's a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. And Garrett Whitlock, the young kid with not a lot of experience, goes right after him. He knows how to pitch. He knows the situations. I cannot put you on here to bring the tying run to the plate, so I'm just going to go right after you and make you earn it at least. And he ends up striking him out. I love what I saw from Whitlock. Again, I don't love this plan. He's this good, I'd rather see him start. He's this good, I'd rather see him close. But the plan worked today. He throws 4 innings. He throws 4 scoreless innings. Doesn't really get touched. He now has saved the bullpen for tomorrow in the series finale behind Evaldi. You're off Thursday, so he is saving your other arms out there. Today, it worked flawlessly. And again, efficient and economical. He had 29 pitches through 3 innings. I think he threw just over 40, if my memory is correct, in 4 innings, like averaging 10 pitches an inning. In today's baseball, where everything is a walk and a strikeout, nobody does that. And Garrett Whitlock did it. Pitch to contact, through strikes, be aggressive, has the ability to K you, but also isn't afraid to pitch to contact. I love what we saw from Garrett Whitlock today, and I also love just how humble and unassuming he is. He talked in the postgame show, which you heard here on WDEV, like the money hasn't changed him. Garrett Whitlock signs the new deal on Saturday or Sunday, gets a long-term deal, gets some real security financially. This is a guy who was, rehabbing from Tommy John a couple of years ago, and now he is getting $40+ million potentially here at the end of, if this deal works out totally in his favor. Money didn't change him at all. The status didn't change him at all. He came out today, unassuming, just did his job, put his head down, went to work. You love to see that. You love to root for a guy like that. Great stuff, commanded the zone, and the ability to think the game, to execute the game plan, and has the right attitude about it. So you've got to win when he pitches. You did that today. Kudos all around. Red Sox move to 2-3. This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. All right, let's switch gears. Let's go from baseball over to women's college basketball. Very, very excited about this next guest. Morgan Valley is going to stop by, a Vermont native, Rice Memorial product. She just completed her first season as an assistant coach for the UConn women's basketball team that went all the way to the national championship game. Morgan Valley is going to talk with us about that experience, and I got some other things I want to pick her brain about as well. Morgan Valley next on DEV.
Northfield Savings Bank is proud to sponsor WDEV at 90. Whether you're a builder, a maker, or a doer, at Northfield Savings Bank, we are proud to be the bank for Vermonters and Vermont businesses. Find out more about us at nsbvt.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Host families in the central Vermont area are needed to house the players of your Vermont Mountaineers. If you have space in your home, please consider becoming a host. All players are fully vaccinated and boosted. Players will have their own transportation, and dinner is provided on game nights. What's in it for you? How about free season tickets and free baseball camps for kids or grandkids? If interested, email host families at thevermontmountaineers.com.
Go, 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 Mountaineers. Go!
Are you looking for a way to help your neighbors and others in your community? Are you 55 or older, living at or below the federal poverty level? Can you commit to volunteering 10 to 12 hours a week? Senior Companion volunteers form meaningful relationships with 5 or 6 people who want companionship and support. Deep friendships often result from the adventures that are embarked upon once you are matched with a senior. Our senior companions tell us that they look forward to their visits as much, if not more, than the folks they are matched with. They love what they do. Helping people feels good. They say they are not just friends, but feel like family. For more information about becoming a Senior Companion volunteer, please call the Senior Helpline at 1-800-642-5119.
At Union Bank, we've been traveling the back roads and main routes of Vermont and New Hampshire for generations. So when it comes to mortgages, we know the local landscape and the best way to get you home. Union Bank, stay local, go far. Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
There's nothing like hearing the songs you love on local radio with no subscriptions and no monthly fees. But there's a new bill in Congress that could stop the music. If passed, this bill would tax your local radio station simply to play the music you love. Text LOCAL to 52886 and ask Congress to support local radio stations. Help us keep you connected to the music, local news, weather, and traffic that you need each day. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
When it comes to your health and wellness, finding information and answers can be overwhelming. Join Dr. Lewis Myers for Healthcare Today, Fridays at 1. Brought to you in part by Kinney Drugs and KinneyDrugs.com. Employee-owned and locally committed. Northfield Pharmacy, pharmacy care with a personalized hometown touch. NorthfieldPharmacy.com. This is your opportunity to pose questions to the professionals. Healthcare Today, Fridays at 1 on WDEV AM and FM and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
This is Field Yates of ESPN, and you're listening to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV Radio and the WDEV app.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show here on this Tuesday on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Joining me now, Morgan Valley, a Vermont native, a Rice Memorial product. She just completed her first season as an assistant coach for the UConn women's basketball team that went all the way to the national championship game. She's been an assistant at Arizona and Washington, and she played at UConn, and she won multiple national championships at UConn. She's been the head coach at Hartford on the women's side. The resume is longer than the interview itself, Morgan. Welcome in.
Well, thanks for having me, Brady.
Well, I appreciate you being with us. Before we get to your season at UConn, which was a challenging but great season in so many ways, last night, WNBA draft. UConn had 3 players selected. What are your emotions as a coach when you see players drafted with a chance to go on to the next level?
Just really proud of them, especially this senior class just across the country. They've really gone through a lot that, I don't think a lot of people understand. Their sophomore year, postseason shut down by COVID, then their junior year, we didn't have our first game, I think, until December 14th on their junior year, which is a month and a half after the season normally starts. So I think it's they've just really persevered and gone through so much. Just really proud of them.
This gets said all the time, but I think it's worth to keep pointing out the depth in the women's game is just insane right now. I mean, it took 14 picks yesterday for a UConn player to be selected because there's just more talent and it's more spread out throughout the country. When you see it firsthand, coaching, recruiting, how good is the women's game right now?
Yeah, I just think there's just a greater presence in youth sports for young women, and that's gonna eventually just keep as they get older, as those young women get older, you'll see it just more and more women's basketball players, good, talented women's basketball players available.
Let's talk about your season at UConn, because it was a challenging year. You guys dealt with some injuries both in the regular season and in the NCAA tournament, but a little over a week since you lost the national title game to South Carolina. How do you handle that in this off season? Is it something that you're constantly talking about and use it as motivation? Do you burn the film because next year is next year and this year was this year? How do you handle this moving forward?
Well, you definitely don't burn the film. I think, the only way you get better at anything in life is through trial and tribulations. And South Carolina deserved the win. They played really, really well on that Sunday night, and we didn't. And, I think we'll learn from it. We'll get better from it. And we have a really good core group coming back. So that all played in that game. So hopefully we can take a lot from it and move forward. But right now they're just resting up their bodies. It was a crazy year. This is probably the hardest year in my coaching career in terms of just what these young people went through, from COVID to constant injuries. It wasn't just like, Paige gets injured, you learn how to play without her. It was, we're heading to Georgia Tech and we find out our starting point guard, Nika Mule, is shut down for 6 weeks with an injury. We fly out to Oregon. We're finally starting to feel our groove, and Kristen Williams gets COVID and is stuck there. We're about to play, and I've never had this happen. Olivia Nelson-Ododa is sitting on the bench, and she looks at CD and she's like, I can't play, literally as they're about to call her name for starting lineup. So it's just constant. Even the national championship game, we wake up and AZ Bud has been sick all night. So it was just a really odd year, but I'm a firm believer if it doesn't kill you, it only makes you stronger. So hopefully we'll be stronger from all this.
We're talking with Morgan Valley here on the Brady Farkas Show, a Vermont native, the UConn women's basketball assistant. She's here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. You know, we spent much of the last 365 days showering Coach K with affections on the men's side, and deservedly so. What is it like working around Gino Auriemma every day?
You know, it's just really just blessed to be able to work alongside these guys. And especially Coach, always willing to answer questions. I've learned so much in just 1 year. You know, he's just a normal guy that loves this game. So it's pretty easy to work for him and be around him and the rest of the staff. It's really just been an honor.
You know, you played for Gino. You've now coached alongside Gino. What are the differences between playing for Gino and working with Gino?
I don't know if there's many. You know, I'm not running a sprint if I do something wrong, but you know, I think that when you work with people that you care about and that care about you, there's always that added pressure to be great. You know, not only for yourself but for them, and so that's just a daily thing, you know, and I think all of us here that work in this office, we're all here for him and this program. And, you know, it's been different because I'm, you know, 41 years old and I'm not 18 and trying to figure out where I belong in this world. But it's been somewhat similar in terms of the daily pressures and the weight you put on yourself just to try to be great for him in this program.
Now, how much game do you still have at 41? Because I'm watching Sue Bird and Tarasi on the Bird Tarasi cast, and I'm like, these people are still playing and still crushing it. How much game do you have left?
Zero. So I'll get some shots up before practice, you know, but that's about it. I played some dummy D this year and was sore for like 3 days after, so I don't know how they do it.
You know, you mentioned Paige Becker's obviously the most, I guess, has the most notoriety right now on your roster. And she did miss a good portion of the year with that lower body injury, came back and had a great NCAA tournament. You've seen some of the best players in the country now for, 20 plus years. How good is Paige Becker's compared to some of the others that you've seen?
She's pretty special. She just, I think one of her greatest attributes is how much she loves her team and how loyal she is to her teammates. It's not even, about the physical skills, how good her mind is in terms of being a basketball player. It's so many other things that she's just really, really great at. And, she's pretty special.
I've talked to you multiple times over the last 4 or 5 years or so, and we've talked in the past about all of your various stops, and you've coached at a ton of different places and accomplished a lot of things and been to multiple Final Fours and coached great players. I know how badly you wanted to be a head coach. You got that opportunity at Hartford. You were there for 2 years. I am curious, was your decision to step down from that job related to the fact that they were exiting Division I?
I mean, I definitely think it played a part. Being offered to be an assistant here, can't really turn that up. But it definitely played a part. When I took the job, I had no idea that was the direction that the school was moving in. So, once it became a topic of conversation and several head coaches meetings, it was definitely something that played a part in me leaving.
What are the odds we get a UConn UVM matchup here in the next couple of years? Can you help arrange that?
Oh man, that would be pretty cool. I'd have to talk to Coach. The scheduling here is a little bit different than most places. So they usually go like 2-3 years out. They're already scheduled games, but maybe I could get Coach to do it.
I'll negotiate it. A 3-for-1. UVM goes to UConn 3 times, and you come to Patrick Gym once.
That would be pretty cool.
I'll get you out of here on this, Morgan. I always ask, the same question at the end of every interview with a local. I would say, when you come back, what's the first thing you want to eat? I've asked you that question enough times, and I know you don't get back a whole lot, so I'll kind of go differently with you here. When you think about growing up in Vermont, what are some of the fondest memories that come to mind?
Just, being in the front yard with my family and friends, playing 2-on-2 or 1-on-1. Jed and Ori Tebow, Alex Lloyd, Jamie Merchant, just Andrew Provost, all those guys just coming over, grabbing some pizza. My parents would order some Domino's and just rolling the ball out and getting it going. So those are pretty much my. That's what I always go back to is how lucky I was to live in a place where we could do all that kind of stuff. So.
Morgan Valley, fresh off a trip to the national championship game, UConn women's basketball assistant coach. Morgan, appreciate it. Enjoy the off season. Get a little bit of rest before the recruiting trail picks up again, I'm sure, although I'm sure there's not too much rest for you at UConn. But good luck with everything, and we'll talk to you again in a little while, I'm sure.
Thanks, Brady. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Appreciate it as well. Morgan Valley, love talking to her. A great season for the UConn Huskies. Hard to believe. Right? Like, her coaching resume is just insane. She played at UConn, was a part of 3 national championship teams, and then immediately got into coaching, right? She's been at UConn. She's been at Hartford as a head coach. She's been in Washington and Arizona, and it goes on down the line. She's been all over places regionally here in the Northeast, too. It's like 20 years or 16 years and like probably 10 different programs. It's absolutely nuts. I knew it. I knew it all along that the decision by Hartford to drop down from Division I, that had to play a factor in why she left. Now, her teams at Hartford were not particularly successful. Now, so you're a new coach. You're taking over a rebuild situation. There's a reason why teams often need new coaches. So you can't expect necessarily that the program was going to be great right out of the gate. But when you're as poor performing as they were through 2 years, and then you see what's happening with the administration, how could you possibly expect the job to be worth holding on to? The resources are only going to get worse. So we knew. We said at the time, like, that's got to be the reason she left. Now, she says it was part of it, and maybe she's right. If Gino comes calling, you can't turn down a job at UConn. But she really wanted to be a head coach. So I got to think it was more about Hartford and the lack of support from the administration than anything else, because they weren't winning already, and you couldn't see a path to it getting any better given where the administration was and clearly how they felt about athletics. All right. When we come back, first off, CBS National News Update. And then, if Chaim Bloom had been in Boston 5 years ago, I don't think we'd ever be in this situation with Rafael Devers. I'll explain why. That's next on DEV.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush, 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield, 96.5 W243 Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury Montpelier, streaming at WDEVradio.com. 90 years of serving Vermont, the friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Dell Small Business.
I'm Linda Kenyon in Washington. Multiple people shot on the subway in New York City. CBS's Matt Piper.
Police here had been on the lookout for a U-Haul box truck, which they believe the suspect may have used to flee. It has now been found in another part of Brooklyn, but so far no suspect. CBS News has learned that a semi-automatic handgun, a hatchet, and smoke grenades were found at the scene. 29 people were injured, 10 of them with gunshot wounds. But Mayor Eric Adams says surveillance video from the platform underground was not working.
There appears to have been some form of malfunction with the camera system.
As the shootings and smoke bombs were going off, another train was pulling up. Earl Phillips with the Transit Workers Union says conductors from that other subway line rushed to get people to safety in their subway cars.
Our members, the workers, went into action. They're heroes.
Matt Piper, CBS News, Brooklyn, New York.
You probably know him for his iconic voice. Gilbert Gottfried died today. His longtime friend and former CBS Radio entertainment correspondent Bill Bergoli.
He got his first voiceover break with Aladdin, the Disney animated movie, and he played Iago, the screechy voice parrot. And he went on to also voice birds for a PBS series, and he was the Affleck duck, and he used to joke that he was being typecast as a bird.
Gottfried was 67. President Biden hoping a temporary waiver for ethanol-blended gas will ease price pressures.
The president made the announcement as the Labor Department reported higher gas prices have driven inflation to a 40-year high. His move will make gasoline blends with 15% ethanol available through the summer months.
You're going to be able to keep filling up with E15, and it's going to solve the whole problem.
The White House says the E15 blend, where it's available, is about 10 cents cheaper than regular unleaded. Mr. Biden traveled to Iowa's corn country to make the announcement.
I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here.
Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, Washington.
Still no confirmation on whether Russia used chemical weapons in Mariupol, Ukraine. Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
This is a real concern. It's a concern that we had from before the aggression started. I think I pointed to the possibility that these kinds of weapons would be used, and it's something that we're very, very focused on.
New concerns have emerged over some of the products you buy at dollar stores.
An alarming number of products sold at U.S. dollar stores, including many children's toys, contain harmful chemicals. That's according to a report from the Campaign for Healthier Solutions, a coalition that calls on such stores to phase out hazardous chemicals from their products. Children are especially vulnerable to low-level chemical exposure.
That's CBS's Jim Krasula, and this is CBS News.
Dell Technologies advisors are here with the right Windows PC and tech solutions so you can stop at nothing for your customers. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
What's done more to improve overall health and wellness? Modern medicine or personal hygiene? Actually, it's both. But considering that bathing went mainstream in the 1800s and brushing your teeth in the 1900s, isn't it time for something new, like cleaning your nose? After all, your nose is the body's air filter for trapping dirt and germs, the first line of defense against allergens, bacteria, and viruses from getting into your lungs. But how do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage isn't medicine, it's more like plumbing. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril to the very back of the nose where germs can get trapped and multiply, and then out the other nostril, flushing out mucus and microbes so you can breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier. Join over 2 million others and find out for yourself how refreshing and easy to use Navage is. At Navage.com, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Connects. Feeling blue? Well, check out the latest findings about a fungus that sprites from the earth.
New research in the journal Nature Medicine finds magic mushrooms have a liberating effect on people with depression. The study cites brain scans that show their active ingredient, psilocybin, helps break free of negative thought patterns. And unlike conventional antidepressants, study author Dr. David Nutt says they make the brain more flexible and fluid. Researchers say that unlike Lexapro, the results lasted 3 weeks after psilocybin treatments ended. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
An orphaned and emaciated mountain lion cub spotted by hikers in the San Francisco area has been brought to the Oakland Zoo. Veterinarians have named her Rose, and they're trying to nurse her back to health. The cub is estimated to be about 5 months old and weighs just 8.8 pounds. The average female cub her age should weigh about 30 pounds. Linda Kenyon, CBS News.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Full show podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and at WDEVradio.com. So you can check it out there. So always subscribe and get it for free in your, write a push notification on your phone. Red Sox win today. They beat the Tigers by a score of 5-3 to move to 2-3 on the year. And yesterday, last night, on the pregame show before the game one of that series, I think Will Fleming made a really great point. If Chaim Bloom had been in Boston 5 years ago, we would never be in the spot that we're in with Rafael Devers today. All this worry about if Devers is going to stay, if Devers is going to go, how much money it's going to cost, how difficult is it to negotiate with Scott Boras, all of it would not be relevant had Chaim Bloom been here 5 years ago. Let's kind of reset where things are at right now, okay? Rafael Devers is 25 years old. He's 2 years away from free agency. He is set to make an absolute fortune. The Red Sox reportedly offered Devers an extension. His camp turned it down this offseason. And then Jeff Passan of ESPN gave some more context on just how far apart the two sides are.
But they're two different players, and we need to recognize that.
That's not the right one. Let's get the one on, do we have Passan talking about it? Nonetheless, Jeff Passan says that they are 9 figures apart. They are $100 million plus apart. $100 million. So that is where we stand right now with the Red Sox endeavors. Had Chaim Bloom been here, we never would be in this spot. The Red Sox are offering what? 200 and he wants 3. The Red Sox are offering 250. He wants 350. It's a tenuous situation. It's a situation that has us all worried. We would never be here if Chaim Bloom had been here from the long haul. And the reason why is because Rafael Devers would have been locked up long ago if Bloom had been in office. This is how new age baseball people think. It's not how Dave Dombrowski views things. New age people like Chaim Bloom think, get the deal with a superstar done early because it accomplishes a lot. Guys like Dombrowski, they kick the can down the road. They wait for the guy to hit free agency, and then it's either, hey, we're gonna pay you top dollar or we're not, and that's just the decision. Bloom doesn't think that way. If Chaim Bloom was here when Rafael Devers was 21 years old, then Chaim Bloom very well may have offered at 21 a 10-year, $150 million deal, an 8-year deal for $130. He would have locked him up early, had him until 30, 31 years old, and we'd be all set with this conversation for the next several years. And this deal has benefit to both the Red Sox and Devers. I mean, look at what would have happened if Bloom had been here and this kind of deal would have gotten made. Chaim Bloom, if he gave a 21-year-old Rafi Devers a 10-year deal, he would have ensured that he had all of the best years of Devers' career. He would have had him, in the developmental stage, but he would have had him at 24 when he's a stud, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. He would have had the absolute best portion of Rafael Devers' career. And Devers very well may have taken it. When you're 21 years old and someone offers you a 10-year, 150, 180, whatever $million deal, guess what? There's a pretty good chance that you're going to take it because you get maximum protection. If you're a bust, you get all the money. If you get injured, you get all the money. That's really appealing to a young player who has made zip to that point. Getting $18 million a year is a huge thing. $15 million a year, it's a huge thing. Ultimate security, I get paid here, I get paid now, I get paid in the future. It's way more money than I could have made in arbitration. It's more money than I would have made at the early portion of my career playing on the league minimum. So, and oh, by the way, I get to hit free agency again, likely at 30 or 31. And while the Red Sox, sure, you'd say they overpay early in the career, $18 million a year for Rafael Devers between ages 25 and 30, guess what? That would look like a massive steal. That is how Chaim Bloom thinks. If Chaim Bloom had been here and not Dave Dombrowski, then I am convinced, like Will Fleming is, that Devers would have been signed long ago.
But I think, as just a hunch to me,
If Chaim were here 3 years ago, Devers would have a long-term extension, period. I mean, a lot like Wander Franco. You got to get ahead of these things. It takes foresight. You can't wait till a guy's had 5 all-star caliber years and is entering his prime. Then it gets really, really expensive. So
yeah, and that's where we're at right now, and I don't think that ever would have happened, like he says, if Bloom had been here. Okay, look how many young superstars have signed this kind of deal, have done this type of thing. 22-year-old Wander Franco in Tampa, where Bloom came from. 11 years, $182 million. Ronald Acuna Jr., deal like this. Fernando Tatis Jr., Ke'Bryan Hayes just did this in Pittsburgh. You sign these guys early, banking that they will be a star. You don't break the bank ultimately, because look, it's going to cost you $350 million to sign Rafael Devers long-term if you sign him in free agency, and you're going to have to sign him to what? A 10-year deal at $350 that takes him until he's 37 years old? That's a lot of money. If I had signed him from 21 to 31 for $180, I get the best portion of his career, and I don't have to break the ultimate bank. These deals are going to look like steals for these players if they ultimately do what they're projected to do. If you get Devers at 21 to a 10-year deal, you would be so unbelievably happy, so much happier than you would be, than you currently are about where this is at. But Chaim Bloom wasn't here. And Chaim Bloom has to inherit guys with looming issues like Bogarts, like Devers. If he didn't have to inherit this deal and he could have worked on it from the start, then I'm convinced, like Will is, that we are in a different place. I mean, look what the Red Sox are doing right now with Garrett Whitlock. They just signed Garrett Whitlock to a 4-year contract extension. They've had Whitlock, they've developed Whitlock, they've gotten to know Whitlock, and they got working on Whitlock early. And Whitlock signed it. Why? Long-term protection. What if I flame out? What if I get injured? Now I get something big rather than testing the market in a couple of years and having to keep singing for my supper. This could have happened with Devers. Now, and by the way, the Whitlock deal is going to end up looking like a relative bargain by the time we're all said and done, in the same way that this Devers deal would have ultimately looked like an ultimate bargain. For what it's worth, I spoke with Buster Olney today, and I talked with him about kind of where we're at right now with the whole Devers thing, and did he agree with my premise? And, well, here's what he said.
And I think that there would have been a chance of that. There would have been some focus on that. I don't think they would have ever done a Chris Sale contract if Chaim was running the team, because I just think, his approach is more conservative.
So, okay, Buster says, look, I don't know that he would have gotten the deal done, but he would have at least gone for it in a way that Dombrowski didn't. And if Acuna is going to sign early and Franco's going to sign early and Ke'Bryan Hayes, I got to think that a guy like Devers at 21, 22 would have been willing to play ball as well. Peter up in Williston, Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, couldn't agree more. Maybe Devers is bitter he didn't get that at age 21. Acuna, Wander Franco, Tatis, Eloy Jimenez, there's another one. All these guys got those deals, as I mentioned. Lou in Montpelier, he raises an interesting question on the text line. He says, Brady, Bloom has been around Devers for 3 years now. This is year 3. Don't you think he's had time to do exactly what you're saying? Fair question, Lou. I'm actually glad you brought this up because I was kind of thinking about this earlier. I do think that Chaim Bloom has been snake bitten here a bit. Maybe in normal circumstances, Chaim Bloom could have done this in the last couple of years, but I don't really think he's had a chance. Year 1, he gets here, and his main focus is shrink the payroll. So he's got to trade Mookie. His whole thing is he's got to shrink the payroll, not take payroll on. Then we get into COVID, and he's got a fired manager in Alex Cora, and you've got significantly depreciating revenue. That's not the time to go out and spend $1 gazillion on trying to lock up Rafael Devers. I've got to shrink payroll, and oh, by the way, I'm also losing a bunch of money. So that year's out. Then you go into 2019. And by the way, Devers had a bad 2020 also. So you go into 2021 rather. And Chaim Bloom and company are like, you know what? Let's see it. Let's wait and see. Let's see how he is. Well, Devers was great. And now you're like, okay, I want this guy long term. But in Devers' mind, what is he thinking? Now he's like, well, hey, I'm only 2 years away at this point. At this point, I might as well wait. And then, oh, by the way, there's a 99-day lockout, so that knocks off a bunch of the time we can talk too. Oh, and now it's the season, and I don't want to negotiate anymore. So I do think, yeah, in a normal last couple of years, maybe something could have still gotten done. But this hasn't been a normal last couple of years. You've had COVID, loss of revenue, the lockout, all of it has impacted your ability to talk about extensions or big money deals with a guy like Devers. If Chaim Bloom had been here from the start, if he had signed Devers out of the Dominican Republic, if he had helped develop Devers, if he had had a relationship with Devers from the time he was 16, well, now when you go to him at 21, there's a trust factor there. And there's a trust factor, there's a communication comfort factor there, and maybe a deal is easier, like it's been for all these other younger, homegrown players that have been signed or drafted and developed by teams. That's not there now. Chaim Bloom just comes in, and what is he to Devers and company? And my guess, he's probably a suit. The guy who signs you at 16, you view him a little differently. The guy who just inherits you at 21, 22, that guy's a money man. He's a suit. Pay me. That's kind of how I think things are going right now. Like with Tristan Cassis, Nick York, Marcelo Mayer, these young Red Sox prospects they have coming up, I got to think that this won't happen. If these guys are as good as we expect them to be, and as good as Chaim Bloom expects them to be, and he's around them all the time, there's going to be a comfort and a familiarity there that is going to, I think, make it a lot easier to get something done in a way that something wasn't done here with Rafael Devers. Okay, let's get to who's saying what. We do this every single day. I got some more stuff on Aaron Judge with Buster. I think we're going to do that tomorrow. So let's just get right to who's saying what, crew.
Whoa. What did he say?
Mac Jones? Good Lord. Mel Kiper's got to slow down on this. Mac Jones ain't going to work, folks. It's not going to work. You just got to come to terms with it. It's not going to work.
They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race, and I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Who's Saying What is brought to you by Vermont Laser Wash. That's Central Vermont's home of unlimited car washes. It begins at just $20 a month. So unlimited car wash is $20 a month. That is a absolutely great deal. And you know what's also a great deal? One free car wash. Just text the word Vermont to the number 30 and then 400. We know the NBA play-in games are tonight, and that's a huge story. Well, 2 of the 4 play-in games are tonight. We also know that the biggest story in the NBA, other than the playoffs, is the Los Angeles Lakers. And the Lakers have a coaching vacancy now. Frank Vogel fired. And it's got some people wondering around our region if Brad Stevens could get back into coaching. Would Brad Stevens have interest in the Lakers? Here's Chris Mannix of Yahoo Sports and NBC Sports Boston.
I don't think it's possible to say Brad Stevens will never be a coach again. He's far too young to make that kind of proclamation. I'd be astonished if he had any interest in coaching the Lakers.
Yeah, I'm with Chris Mannix. For Brad Stevens, the Lakers job is not a desirable one. The Lakers job is desirable in general because it's a head coaching job. It's desirable, though, to someone who doesn't have a lot of other options. A multi-time retread where beggars can't be choosers. A first-time head coach where they're not established. And again, beggars can't be choosers. A coach that's willing to be a bit of a puppet to the superstars on the roster. There are definitely people that will line up for the job, even in the circumstances that it's in right now. But the candidates like Brad Stevens, who are established, who have good things going, who have other options, they know that Lakers job is not a great one, and they know to stay away. So Brad Stevens The job is not desirable to him. It will be desirable to somebody, but not for him and not right now. I mean, look at the Lakers. They're in a bad way right now. Russell Westbrook has a $47 million player option for next year, which I'm sure he's going to exercise. So all of your money is tied up in an aging LeBron James, an aging Russell Westbrook, and an off-injured Anthony Davis. That's really all of your money there. You don't have the extra money to build depth. You do not have any draft picks in 2022. You don't have a first-round pick until 2025, so you have an aging roster with little money and no draft picks. So where exactly is the way out of this purgatory if you are Brad Stevens as head coach of the Lakers? You have the off-injured Davis, who you very well may need to trade in order to free up some money and get some picks. You have LeBron, who at this point is year to year. Like, he's not a selling point for me anymore. He's not a selling point for me to take a job. LeBron has made it clear, I want to play with my son. So at this point, you don't have LeBron for the long term. So that's not a reason to take a job. In the past, hey, I get to coach LeBron, I'm always going to be in it. Now it's like, I may get LeBron for a year, and then he's off to Memphis or Orlando or Atlanta or Chicago or wherever, or Detroit. So you may have to trade AD. LeBron's not a long-term fixture. And you have no draft picks right now, really, to go through and make any kind of dent in this problem. And then, oh, by the way, you're playing in the really deep and really talented Western Conference. There's no real way out. Someone will want this job. Brad Stevens is not that somebody. Mark Medina, NBA insider for national publication, he said the job is still desirable for what it's worth.
The Lakers are obviously going to get a head coach, and they're a desirable destination because of the Laker brand, the franchise, the appeal of being able to coach LeBron James. But when you're looking at how they handled Frank Vogel's tenure here, from the day they hired them to the day they fired him, if I'm a head coach, I'm having long and hard conversations with Rob Pelinka and everyone in the front office on what the arrangement's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, look, I disagree with some of that premise, like I just said. The job is desirable to somebody. Somebody wants to be a head coach, and somebody's willing to take on the project, right? Like the Baltimore Orioles have a manager. The Pittsburgh Pirates have a manager. Somebody wanted the Houston Texans job. The worst college job somebody wants. So everybody, there will be a head coach for the Lakers next year. But the established people, the people with better options, they don't need to rush on this job. An aging roster, $47 million for Russell Westbrook, maybe trading AD. LeBron's not the appeal of coaching LeBron isn't an appeal anymore. He very well may be gone after next year. And then on the 1 in 30 chance that his son goes to the Lakers too, well, then what are we looking at? That where it's a 40-plus-year-old LeBron and his young kid who's not quite ready for the NBA, and LeBron is still calling the shots and running the show. I'm not signing up for that if I'm anybody with any kind of clout. Not even close. So I think Brad Stevens is safe in Boston for the time being. I mean, like Manick said, you can't say that Brad Stevens will never coach again. But he's not coming out of his little bubble here to coach the Lakers under these circumstances. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Yeah, text on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. The Lakers are going to have to trade AD, as you said, and then take a hit on the contract buyout on Russ's deal, too. The perfect coach for that situation is Mike Brown, a retread and a LeBron yes man. So Mike Brown is possible. Mike Brown's been a head coach of multiple teams. I wouldn't say he has no other options, but his options are certainly far more limited. So, yeah, he'd be more likely to say, okay, I got to put my hand up to take this job because I don't know that I can get other jobs. I don't know if a better job becomes available if I'm going to be the guy that they want. So, yeah, Mike Brown is a name I've heard in connection with this job. All right. Today I got to eat my words in a big way. A guy that I've defended really, really passionately for the last 2 years. He did a whole lot of people wrong, and I can't defend this. I'll tell you about what Cam Newton had to say. That's next on WDEV.
WDEV at 90 is brought to you in part by New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, with a belief that local businesses like WDEV build strong communities.
Get lasting joint pain relief without surgery, without drugs, without downtime. New options are now available here. Regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics. I'm talking about biologic therapies. This is the most exciting medical development in years. These remarkable regenerative treatments actually encourage your own body to help heal the damaged tissue in your joints. Pro athletes have done this for years. Now it's available for folks like us. If you've been struggling with knee, back, shoulder, or hip pain, arthritis pain of any kind, you need to check out this exciting natural alternative with incredible patient satisfaction results. Restorative biologic therapies at QC Kinetics. Effective treatments for chronic joint pain with no drugs and no surgery. Call for a free consultation now. Learn about all the regenerative options available to help you get pain-free. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS.
Rick the Kid here from Lamoille Valley Ford. With gas prices on the rise, you need to listen to this special announcement. Tell them, Dan.
Folks, the car, truck, and SUV challenge is back and better than ever at Lamoille Valley Ford. This year, I'll challenge my 3 teams to sell and order over 700 vehicles by the end of April, and here's how we're going to do it. With the purchase, lease, or order of any new or pre-owned vehicle at Lamoille Valley Ford, you'll leave with a $500 fuel card today. You heard that right. Even if you have to wait for your ordered new Ford, you'll get a $500 fuel card. You can choose between a home heating fuel card or a gas card to be used at the pump. Plus, I want you to know that as one of New England's largest Ford dealers, we are prioritizing all of our special orders to get you your new Ford as fast as possible. And in the meantime, $500 of your fuel cost is on Lamoille Valley Ford. That's huge.
Thanks, Dan. If you don't want to wait, you'll find the largest selection of new and certified pre-owned Fords in the state, and all of them include a $500 fuel card. So drive Route 14, 15, or 16 to Hardwick, and the car, truck, and SUV challenge happening now. And remember, at Lamoille Valley Ford, we know price matters.
Considering an online pharmacy? Explore BeSafeRx to find useful information and resources to help you purchase medicines safely online. Discover more helpful tips and resources at fda.gov/BeSafeRx.
Hi, this is Anson Tebbets, co-host of For the Birds, heard Saturdays on WDEV. Each week, Chip Darmstadt and I discuss bird sightings, bird counts, and activity at your feeder. You also can listen anytime to podcasts on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Join us Saturdays at 7:30 and 12:15 for the Birds. 28 years on WDEV AM and FM and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball today. Sox beat the Tigers 5-3. We'll give you some of the highlights coming up in the final segment. The show right now brought to you by Pro Driver Training. That's Pro Driver Training. Online at ProDriverCDL.com. They are Vermont's premier truck driver training school with locations in Enosburg and in Milton. Again, that's ProDriverCDL.com, where they can help you with your Class A CDL, your Class B CDL, passenger, and advanced skills training as well. Really dumb comments by former Patriots quarterback Cam Newton yesterday, especially for a guy who has a history on the sexism front. Cam Newton's comments yesterday were dumb. They were absolutely offensive, as you'll hear, to women, and they are really disappointing to me. I know that I don't mean anything in this because the comments weren't directed at me or about my gender, but I'm personally disappointed because I've spent the last 2 years defending Cam Newton to all of you as both a person and an NFL quarterback and his tenure with the Patriots. You cannot defend what you're about to hear. So Cam Newton was on a podcast yesterday, or at least on a podcast that came out yesterday, and he was talking about a bunch of stuff. I'm not quite sure how we got into this, but Cam Newton was talking about kind of gender roles, and he was talking about women in general. And I'm going to play you the entirety of the minute and 20 second comments here. I usually don't play things over 40 seconds. I'm going to play the entirety of Cam's comments. There are a couple of words bleeped out. You won't hear bleeps. You'll just kind of hear silence in that spot, but you'll be able to gather what Cam is saying. So, again, these are the comments that are reprehensible, that are unforgivable, that were stupid, that were ignorant, and here they are from the former Patriots quarterback.
I had a perfect example of what a man was in my life by my father. My parents have been together for 36, 37 years now, and it's a beautiful thing. I grew up in a 3-parent household, my mom, my father, and my grandmother. And I knew what a woman was, not a bad.
Okay, what's the difference?
A woman.
Okay.
A bad is a person who's just, girl, I'm a bad, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I look the part, but I don't act the part.
Okay.
And it's a lot of women who are bad. And I say in a way, not to degrade a woman, but just to go off the aesthetic of what they deem is a boss chick. Now, a woman for me is handling your own, but knowing how to cater to a man's needs, right? And I think a lot of times when you get that aesthetic of like, I'm a boss bitch, like I'm a this, I'm a that. No, baby, but you can cook.
Okay.
You don't know when to be quiet. You don't know how to allow a man to lead.
So let's go through it. My mistake. I forgot one word there bleeped out. It's not illegal or anything. I just try not to play it when we don't have to. So my mistake there. But not an FCC fine coming our way. But there you go. That's the same word that all the other words were that were bleeped out. So let's kind of run through Cam's comments. And basically there's two central themes here. One, Cam says, paraphrasing, that there are some women that are kind of look at me, talking a good game, talking about how great they are, but they don't know when to be quiet. They don't know when to get out of the way and let a man lead, and they don't know how to cook. So basically, Cam is saying that you're not all that as you present if you can't do basic things. That's kind of number one that Cam is saying. And then number two, Cam says that a real woman is one who can take care of themselves, but also can cater to a man and cater to a man's needs. Disappointing, upsetting, reprehensible, disgusting. Those are all adjectives that are being used and should be used around what Cam Newton is saying. I don't endorse Cam Newton feeling this, certainly, and certainly by saying it, this is going over exactly as you would expect it to go over. Here's Courtney Cox of WEEI in Boston with her thoughts.
Hey, Cam Newton, I don't know how to cook and I don't know how to be quiet. I consider myself a bad bitch and I'm also going to be a wife. So guess what? The guy who cannot get a wife, he's never been married, probably never will after a comment like that. Shut up. Shut up. It's 2022 to sit on a podcast and say something like that. And if you watch the video, he thinks he's preaching the Bible to everybody. You look around the room at the other guys, they're like, they know that this is going downhill real quick.
Yeah, that's exactly the reaction you would expect. I can't blame Courtney Cox for feeling that way. Now, I'm not a woman, so I don't know exactly how they're all feeling, but I would be shocked if that is not the by far prevailing sentiment against Cam Newton's comments here. I mean, these are stupid comments. They are misogynistic comments. They are not comments that belong in 2022. And the reaction you just heard from Courtney Cox is exactly what I would expect. And that is exactly the reaction that Cam Newton is getting. Here is why Cam Newton's comments are bad, at least from where I'm sitting. This is now a pattern of sexism with Cam. Now, he had the comments several years ago when he was in Carolina where he disparaged the female reporter. I believe he said something along the lines of, that's cute. When she was asking about high-level football stuff, he basically said it was cute that women were talking in that way about football or were trying to learn about football in that specific way. So this is clearly a thought that Cam Newton has where he thinks women need to fit in certain boxes and shouldn't go outside of them. This is not one mistake. This is not one ill-advised comment. This is not a one-off remark. This is a pattern, and this is clearly how Cam Newton actually thinks and how Cam Newton actually feels. And for a guy in Cam Newton that I have applauded for trying to be a critical thinker and trying to look deeply at things, this is exactly the opposite of that. In a way, this is the Kyrie Irving effect, where you talk like you're smarter than the room and then end up stepping right in it, and your foot belongs right in your mouth. And the other thing is, to me, this is so confusing to me, because Cam Newton has literally spent his entire career trying to break the mold. Has he not? He spent his entire career trying to prove that you don't have to fit into just one quarterback box. And he's tried to prove that you can do things in multiple different ways. So how is it to me that a guy who has spent his entire career trying not to be typecast has come in and exactly tried to typecast all women to say that they need to fit in this one very specific 1950s Leave It to Beaver style box? It's so confusing to me how Cam Newton, of all people, feels this way. He spent his entire career trying to knock down doors and get rid of stereotypes and play the game a different way, that he doesn't want women to play the game a different way than was played 75 years ago. A guy who has tried to break the traditional football mold is not okay with women in society trying to break their, quote, traditional mold. I mean, these comments, they are exactly what Courtney Cox is her tone is telling you are. Unacceptable, and they make you angry. Look, there are, Cam says there are women who are, loud, don't know when to be quiet, look at me. Well, guess what? Like all people, there are women that are loud. There are women that are look at me. There are also men that are loud and look at me. And Cam Newton has made an entire career out of being loud, out of being the look at me guy. He should be the last guy to call somebody out for acting that way. This has been his whole career. Now, I know Cam has generally been team-oriented. I'm not saying he's a, quote, selfish player, but he's had plenty of highlights where it is about me. I'm going to be louder than you. I'm going to flex on you. I'm going to do the Superman on you. So it's incredibly hypocritical for Cam to act this way his whole career and make millions off of this loud and boisterous persona, and to not care about being loud and boisterous, and then to say that it's inexcusable for women to act that way. So I get why Courtney Cox or Stacey Dales of the NFL Network or Mina Kimes of ESPN and any other woman I've seen is mad. This is the height of hypocrisy from Cam Newton. And Cam also mentioned that his parents have been together for 37 years. And congratulations to them. That's an unbelievable accomplishment. Clearly, in Cam's family, the way he was raised, his mom was home and his father worked. That's pretty evident to me, and I had read something that kind of firmed that up as well. But in Cam's family structure growing up, that was apparently what happened. That family structure can work. It clearly has worked for his family. That's more than okay. But just because it worked for your family does not mean it is the only way that a family structure can be. And that's what Cam Newton doesn't seem to realize or doesn't want to realize. As Cam says, great women support great men. Yes, guess what? Great men also support great women. It is not, that is just what great partners and great teammates in life do. They support each other. It is not solely the woman's job to cater to the man's needs, as Cam said. I mean, I'm sure some family structures are like that, but some family structures are exactly the opposite, where the man caters to the woman's needs. Both can work. Doesn't mean there's only one way, and Cam Newton seems to think there's only one way. And that's disappointing, too. Like, back to sports, Cam Newton in the league for a decade. He's seen offensive-minded coaches win, defensive-minded coaches win. He's seen running teams win. He's seen defense-oriented teams win. He's seen teams win that play in domes, teams that win that play outside, teams that win that play in every different division and all different kinds of weather, and teams with running quarterbacks and teams with pocket passers and teams with tall quarterbacks and teams with small quarterbacks. Cam Newton has seen A lot of different styles succeed in his own sport. How does he not realize that a lot of different styles can work in life too? That a woman does not have to fit his perfect, little tiny narrow box. This is the comments were, yes, appalling, but also hypocritical, and just a guy who has seen all success come in all forms and fashions in sports doesn't think that success can come from all forms and fashions in life. It just absolutely ridiculous to me. Shocking to me, really. I guess, you know what? Not shocking because we've heard this from Cam before. And I bought in that was a long time ago and it was a one-off then. You can't buy in anymore. This is just who Cam Newton is and what Cam Newton believes. And while maybe it worked for his family a long time ago, it does not have to work that way now. Disappointing that Cam Newton would feel this, say this, speak this, and offend so many people as he has. I spent a lot of time defending Cam Newton. You cannot defend this. Text on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. Dude, Cam Newton's career is over after that useless 1950s tirade. Here's the thing. Cam Newton's career might be over because of Cam Newton's playing ability. Now, I still think that Cam Newton can be a useful NFL player. I really thought he could be last year. Full admission, right? I championed for Cam to be the quarterback, not Mac, a lot. Those comments are not going to keep Cam Newton out of the league. What's going to keep Cam Newton out of the league is his inability to pass or his unwillingness to be a backup necessarily or whatever. Like, the NFL has reprehensible people and with people with reprehensible thoughts and pasts and criminal records. The NFL will give a chance to almost anybody. Cam Newton, if he were good enough, he would have a chance also. I don't think these comments are going to end his career. His injuries in his arm or lack thereof arm are going to end his career. This doesn't help, but this isn't going to solely keep him out of the NFL at this point. All right. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. I have to get to this. I have to address something we never talk about. St. Michael's College baseball, because I don't know if you saw this story. Did you see this yesterday on social media? This all came out. Over the weekend, St. Michael's College baseball out in Colchester, right, was playing Bentley College. And the Bentley right fielder made an unbelievable catch, an absolutely incredible catch. St. Michael's player hits a ball that is over the wall. The Bentley player brings it back, catches it, falls over the wall. It's an out. Now, the fence is a snow fence there, so the Bentley College player was kind of able to jump and fall through the fence as opposed to jumping over or hitting a traditional wall. Anyway, the clip has gone completely viral, right? This Bentley College kid robbing a home run at St. Michael's. Some of the biggest baseball accounts on the internet have found this and have tweeted it out. So it's been pretty cool. So I tweeted yesterday that the play was cool, but it never should have happened because St. Michael's College should have a real fence and not a snow fence that is that small for you to jump over and that forgiving for you to kind of fall through and over. And I said that if they had a real fence, the play would not have been possible. And I've caught a few different responses from people that I want to address here quickly. I got one tweet from Tom who said, rather than rip St. Mike's, I should just compliment the play because it was a great play. So I'll say this. I didn't give proper kudos to the play in the moment. You should go watch it because it is incredible. Now, I was looking at this from a St. Michael's perspective in that I live in Vermont. But overall, as a baseball fan, I did not give enough credit. It was a great play by the kid, tracked the ball well, fearlessness, aggressiveness, the actual play, holding on to the ball. All of it was great. It does deserve the notoriety. I didn't do a good enough job of giving it the notoriety yesterday. That said, let me move to some of the other responses that I got. I got a tweet from Jack who said, I should just be happy there's competitive college baseball in Vermont, and I shouldn't be knocking the fence and the facilities at St. Michael's College. Wrong. My reaction was completely appropriate in that regard. The facilities at St. Mike's are absolutely worth ripping. And in fact, most of the athletic department at St. Mike's is worth ripping. This is a joke. I am not just, quote, happy there's competitive college baseball in Vermont. There's not competitive college baseball, at least at St. Mike's. St. Michael's College is Division II, right? They're 3-15 this year. Let's look at the last several years. 1-23, 0-2 in the COVID season of 2020, 9-28, 9-32, 4-25, 5-29, 10-28, 7-25, 12-23 since 2013. I'll just stop there. Since 2013, St. Michael's College baseball is 60-230. 60-230. The program, the facilities, they deserve to get ripped. My comments on them having a snow fence are not out of bounds at all. Do you know what's going on at St. Mike's? Do you know why I'm mad? It's way beyond just the snow fence, but I feel bad for these kids. I feel bad for the players in a huge way. And it all came out yesterday for me because the school doesn't invest in the program. St. Michael's College does not give scholarships out to its baseball players. They're allowed to. Under Northeast 10 Conference rules, they choose not to. They would rather have all the players pay a full freight in tuition rather than try to make the team be better. The athletes at St. Mike's, I believe with the exception of hockey and basketball, none of them, or all of them rather, except for hockey and basketball, are just seen as tuition to them. They're not seen as student athletes. They are just there to pay $46,000 plus a year to go to school. Other schools in the Northeast 10 Conference in baseball, they compete for national championships, and St. Mike's just sees it as a way to get 30 guys to pay full freight. That's it. I read a story from VPR a couple of years ago now, like we're going back a bit, but it said that the 21 sports other than basketball, I guess 20 now, hockey too, compete without any athletic grants and aid, essentially making St. Michael's a Division III program competing at the Division II level in everything. This is why I'm mad. This is why it's fair to rip the snow fence. The school does not invest in its athletic department, but we're talking about baseball specifically. Just barely did St. Mike's get a full-time head coach. Didn't have that for years. I can find a snow fence on any local junior varsity high school field, and it's sitting on a Division II campus. That is unacceptable to me. St. Michael's doesn't even play the maximum allotted number of games they're eligible to play. It used to be 50. They never hit it. It's currently 40. They don't hit it. Why? Everyone will hide behind the weather up here being too bad to play. A Division II school that cares about its programs would probably allow its teams to go down south and play in Florida more, or play in Georgia, or play in Virginia, or play in Maryland, somewhere where you can play baseball in the early season. And St. Michael's refuses to do it. I am positive because they don't want to foot the bill. This stinks. St. Michael's can play 40 games, and last year they played 24. You can hide behind COVID last year too, but every other year they're allowed to play 50 and they play 38. I promise you it's because of their administration does not want to foot the bill. This stinks. So yeah, when I rip the snow fence, it's way deeper than that. No scholarships, snow fence, no full-time coach for a long time. It's garbage. Don't tell me just be happy there's competitive college baseball in Vermont. There's not. The St. Michael's College baseball program just exists for the sake of existing and for the sake of getting $46,000 in tuition from the 30 guys on the team. It's not about the team being good. The administration, I'm sure, could care less if they go winless every year. As long as they're paying tuition, then the school thinks they're winning. And that's what really stinks. So kudos to the Bentley kid. He made a great play. He deserves the notoriety, more notoriety than I gave him. But my point still stands. If St. Mike's had a real fence like a real program does, then that play would never have been possible. And those kids deserve a real program. I told you a couple weeks ago I coached at Norwich, right? And we had a snow fence in a real bad situation. Even Norwich now is dwarfing St. Mike's in its commitment to baseball. And that's saying something. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEV Radio. Red Sox baseball, they won today. We'll give you the highlights as they beat the Tigers 5-3. That's next as we close out the show on DEV.
Hi, everyone. This is Jess Langlois.
And Chief Meteorologist Dan Dowling.
From the Channel 3 Max Advantage Weather Team, reminding you that every day we are tracking the weather and getting you the most accurate forecast.
From the most experienced weather team tonight from 4 to 7 and at 11 p.m.
We forecast with straight talk and no hype.
So you can take advantage of the clear days.
And have the advantage over stormy weather.
There's a 100% chance of accurate, experienced, and trusted forecast.
Tonight and every night from the Channel 3 Max Advantage Weather Team.
First in weather.
Building materials are hard to find, but Cleveland Cedar Products in Wolcott has red cedar and hemlock clapboards, cedar shakes and shingles. Cleveland Cedar has a great variety of trim boards as well. No one will beat Cleveland Cedar Products' freestanding prices or quality. Family-owned Cleveland Cedar Products has over 30 years of siding experience. Talk to the experts. Cleveland Cedar Products, 3 miles west of Wolcott Village on Route 15 and online at cedarguy.com.
Now more than ever, Vermonters are eager to get out and about. And Vermont's outdoor recreation businesses and organizations are here to help. They build and maintain the trails we walk and ride. They grow and sell the local food that keeps us going and make and sell the gear that keeps us strong and safe. The Vermont Community Loan Fund is here to help Vermont's outdoor rec industry with our new Trails Loan Program, supporting outdoor recreation and those who make it possible. Trails offers financing and free business resources to help Vermont's trailblazing outdoor rec community grow stronger and more sustainable, generating jobs and energizing our rural economy. The Vermont Community Loan Fund, for over 30 years, Vermont's nonprofit business lending partner. Learn more about Trails and our other business lending programs at investinvermont.org. That's investinvermont.org.
Did you know that Chips Auto in Randolph carries Nokian tires?
No kidding.
No, Nokian, creators of the first snow tire, and Chips Auto sells, mounts, and balances them.
No kidding.
No, Nokian. And Chips Auto in Randolph has an alignment machine to keep your Nokian tires going straight.
No kidding?
No, Nokian at Chips Auto. Full-service auto repair and tire services. Weston Street, Randolph. Online at chipsautoandtire.com.
The world is a constantly changing place, and being informed has never been more important. This is Steve Kafin. WDEV, Vermont's news station, and CBS provide you with up-to-the-minute news and information. Whether it's top and bottom of the hour news, breaking news, or special events, if Vermonters need to know, you can trust that WDEV and CBS will inform you. WDEV, keeping an eye on Vermont, while CBS keeps an eye on the world.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Couple minutes left. Red Sox beat the Tigers today, moved to 2-3 on the year. Final score of this one was 5-3 if you missed it. We'll have day baseball again tomorrow, weather permitting, from Detroit, with our coverage beginning at 12:10. 1:10 will be the first pitch. In this one, again, Rich Hill started, went 4 1/3 innings, allowed 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. He pitched a lot better than that will indicate, though. Didn't get a lot of help on defense. Christian Arroyo, the outfielder, in quotes, had a couple of plays that could have been made that cost Hill a couple of runs. Hirokazu Sawamura came in and got a nifty double play, and Garrett Whitlock shut the door to get the win. 4 innings in relief for Whitlock, had a walk and 2 strikeouts. I said earlier I thought he threw 40 pitches. He only threw 39 pitches in 4 innings. What a game by Whitlock out of the pen. Kike Hernandez kicked it off offensively, finally getting his first couple of hits of the year. He went 2 for 4. Rafi Devers 3 for 5. A hit each from Bogarts and Martinez. Christian Arroyo had a hit. Kevin Plawecki had a hit and scored a run as well. As for some of the highlights, well, let's go right to Kike Hernandez, who got, again, that first couple of hits of the year, including this double.
The set. And he swings and slices one down the right field line toward the corner. It's a fair ball hitting on the grass and rolling into the corner. Kike on his way to second as a run is scored. And Kike breaks the 0 for 19 with a double down the right field line. That is to be a huge weight lifted off his shoulders. Red Sox on the board as Plawecki scores easily, 3-1 Tigers.
Yeah, good to see Kike get going. JD Martinez had the most controversial hit of the game. It was a key one, though.
Jacob Barnes deals, and there's a drive slice down the right field line toward the corner, and it is a fair ball. Ties the game. Into second goes J.D. with a stand-up double, and Devers scores. It's 3-3. J.D. ripping a bullet fair by inches, hit on the warning track on the dirt surface, not too far from the pole.
Yeah, we're not sure if it was fair or foul, but nonetheless, the Red Sox got the call. It was challenged. We could not find any indisputable evidence to overturn it. So good to see the Red Sox off the schneid offensively, and they get the win. All right, that's going to do it for us here on the Brady Farkas Show. We're going to turn it over to Jazz with George Thomas. Remind you that the full show podcast is available in, probably about 10 minutes from now on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Thanks to Morgan Valley, the Vermont native and UConn women's basketball coach, for stopping by. I also checked in with Buster Olney today on a rare Tuesday conversation. Buster kind of had a floating schedule this week, so we talked surprisingly today. That interview available online as well. That's it for us. We'll see you tomorrow after, hopefully, weather permitting, Red Sox baseball on DEV.
Spring sports are here, and it's time to get the kids out for baseball and lacrosse. Hey, this is Caleb.